The following transmission is an utterly nonsense podcast exclusive presentation. Cue that motherfucking 8-bit intro.
Welcome back to Utterly Nonsense. This is part 2 of the San Diego Comic-Con Super Spectacular Special.
And we're back!
And you can clearly tell I did not prepare that in the slightest.
This is all ad-libbed. We don't have a script, boys and girls.
Yeah.
This is all off the top of the Chrome Dome.
Gotta love that
I'm
podcast
not
magic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Just flowing from the veins.
So, for our viewers who actually watched all of the last one, we went pretty heavily in depth with all the DC stuff. Shazam, Aquaman, DC TV, Titans, DC Universe. So, if you did somehow skip part 1 of this, go back and check that out. We do have a YouTube channel where we show most of the backups of this. It's also available in audio form on SoundCloud, iTunes, etc., etc. So, we talked about...
For those who are unaware, on our audio formats, particularly SoundCloud, which also connects to our iTunes, we will have the most recent 5 episodes available at all times. So it'll be like on a rotation, so the oldest episode will always kind of disappear every time we come out with a new one, simply because we're doing this show free, and if you want to have a lot of storage, you got to pay. But we're doing it as frugal as possible, so just like the CW website, most recent 5 episodes on audio, but everything will always be there on YouTube, so long as they let us.
Mm-hmm. So check it out on YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube, because that'll have our most in-depth content. In addition to our podcast, we also do have a number of comedy sketches, View on the Street, reviews, film reviews. Check us out there, because we have a lot more shit on our YouTube page than we do on SoundCloud, iTunes, or wherever else you're probably listening to this.
Yeah.
So without further ado,
nonsensical world.
Yeah. So without further ado, we talked DC in the first one, and this episode is dedicated specifically to everything else.
Yeah, miscellaneous.
It's very, very, very niche. Okay,
Yeah.
So how do you want to start this?
Well, we did have a trailer for a movie that you're highly anticipating from M. Night Shyamalan Bing Bong.
Okay.
Glass.
Yeah. So a little bit of backstory for this, just because I know people aren't as big of a cinephile as I am. Not to sound pretentious or anything. I feel like most people haven't sort of followed M. Night Shyamalan's career as much as I have. M. Night Shyamalan, very famous for making The Sixth Sense, very much hated for making the Avatar live-action movie. The Last Airbender,
and The Happening, to a certain degree.
People didn't care that much about The Happening or The Mist. It didn't grow the same sort of critical disdain or commercial disdain that The Last Airbender
think
did.
Airbender was the breaking point for most people.
Yeah, so he sort of made a comeback with his 2013 film, The Visit. Horror film. Never saw it, but from what I heard, it's actually pretty good. That was before I was really into watching horror films for any sort of critical value. And then Split happened, which I didn't even mention Unbreakable yet. So Unbreakable came out, I believe, in what was the year on that? 2001, 2002. So second film he made with Bruce Willis. You have this sort of it's sort of like an original superhero story, and it does sort of defy some of the superhero tropes, but for the most part, it is an origin story. And
it was the year 2000 when it was released.
Okay, yeah, that sounds right. So Bruce Willis plays David Dunn, who's this blue-collar guy who basically, in the very first few minutes of the film, survives a train crash, like lone survivor of this grisly train crash. And unsurprisingly, he turns out to have super strength and vulnerability, and for some reason, the ability to tell when people have done shitty things by touching them.
So like Luke Cage and Ghost Rider combined?
Yeah, more or less. He has some vulnerabilities. Like his big weakness is water, which is actually hinted at in the Glass trailer. Yeah,
water. Oh boy.
So like you can actually, there's a scene where James McAvoy is throwing him into a water tower. Like that's his one weakness. So, unsurprising.
What does it do to him? Does he melt?
No, it doesn't melt him. It's just he loses his strength when he's in water. Like the one time he ever got sick in his entire life, he got like a very small bit of pneumonia from like nearly drowning. And it's sort of hinted that that's his weakness. And then you have Samuel L. Jackson's character, who's Mr. Glass, who Elijah Glass, I think, is the character's first name. And
old Nick Fury.
He's the exact opposite of Bruce Willis's character, David Dunn. He's so frail that literally the smallest injury will cause his bone to break. Like he's apparently suffered like 87 broken bones in his lifetime. Or I think that's what they said in the trailer, right? Like 87.
Yeah, he says that.
And then you've got introduced in Split, James McAvoy's character, and like I'm not even sure what the main name is, but he's got like 24 different identities, split personality disorder, as implied by the name. And his like most evil maniac identity, the Beast, is sort of in the same league as David Dunn in that he's indestructible and like superhuman strong, and that he can apparently like he's beast-like, like he's basically a wild animal at that point, Yeah. And
I haven't seen these movies, but I gotta see them now.
Yeah, no, it's like an amazing trilogy that people did not notice, like, at first, Like, Unbreakable was definitely underrated. Split, people did not expect it to be nearly as good as it was. So
and now they're doing a crossover, because crossovers are all the rage, especially when you come to superheroes.
So the thing is...
Not so much monsters.
So the thing is...
I mean, mummy monsters.
So the thing is, they hinted at the end of Split, like, the whole story about how James McAvoy's character kidnapped these girls and, like, attacked them, whatever, was a major news story. Like, he eventually gets caught, but, you can see David Dunn, like, in a diner at the end of Split watching this newsreel, and someone mentions, his exploits from years earlier. So, it's that connection was a little forced, but it made for a lot of speculation, and I think he announced, like, a month later that they were going to make Glass. So, yeah.
How about that?
So, I mean, the trailer was just ridiculously cool. Like, being a fan...
Yeah, I watched it. I actually want to see it. Like, even if or actually, I have not seen the other movies, but the trailer makes me want to see this.
Right.
Because it's like, you have these cool characters. I don't really know what the plot is, but just because of how cool it makes them look, I want to see it.
Well, so first of all, see Unbreakable and Split first, just because both are
also,
really amazing character studies. But, yeah. So it's going to add to the whole experience, but, I think you're right. I don't think... at least based on what we saw in the trailer, you sort of get the general vibe of what they're going for, like, even without seeing the other two. So, I'm anxious to see that. That, for me, was the big non-DC trailer of the whole Comic-Con. Yeah. What else?
The most recent movie I watched that had Bruce Willis and Samuel Jackson was, why can't I remember the name now? Idiot. Pulp Fiction.
Oh my god, of course. I knew you were going to say that, because they haven't really teamed up too much, but yeah, I mean, that's one of my all-time favorite movies. If not my favorite.
And I watched
movie.
Reservoir Dogs, too.
Yeah, another classic. Gotta love Tarantino.
I know.
Yeah, which, weirdly enough, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, oddly absent from San Diego Comic-Con, which I think that's scheduled for like late 2019 release, too, so maybe next year. But, yeah, and that's going to be cool. That's going to have a pretty amazing cast. What else?
So we had a trailer for Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Is he the king? I don't know.
I didn't even see Godzilla in that trailer. I mean...
he was there very briefly. You see him coming out of a lot of smoke. They seem to have some kind of weird fetish for smoke, because every monster reveal comes out of all of this fucking smoke. I can't see shit.
Right.
All I see is these people reacting.
So I do have
I
two things to say about it. Just two observations I made. First of all, Millie Bobby Brown's in it, and she's somehow the big star of the whole thing. She's 11 in Stranger Things, so of course that's going to draw crowds, even if the movie's complete shit. Just she's so well liked at this point that she can really do no wrong, you know. The other thing was thematically, it sort of strikes me as just a ripoff of Geostorm, which is a ripoff of every environmental disaster movie of all time. Yeah. And for those of you who haven't seen Geostorm, which considering how badly bombed at the box office is probably a very slim minority of you, one of the worst movies I've ever seen, and it really has no redeeming qualities. Like, it's so bad. Like, I like some bad movies. Like, I love The Room just because it's so shitty. It's fun, you know.
Is that the movie where there's like a scene with a giant tidal wave just sweeping everyone away as they're running away from it?
The Room? No, I think you're thinking of...
No, Geostorm.
Geostorm? Yeah. That does have those sort of moments.
There's this meme video where as soon as the wave hit, it just starts playing Ocean Man really loud, like ear-rapingly loud.
Right.
Very funny.
Yeah, so just one of the worst movies ever made, and this Godzilla sequel just looks like another version of that. You know, humans are the enemy. We've caused all of the destruction of the world, and we deserve to die for our actions.
Are a disease
that must be.
And in order to save humanity, we need to bring the monsters that destroy everything back.
We are a virus that must be exterminated. It's
I don't get it.
Shitty Age of Ultron.
Yeah, of course this is a sequel to Gareth Edwards' Godzilla from 2014. Did you see that?
I did not. And I have no desire to.
It had Bryan Cranston in it.
Oh man, I like Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, but he just goes to waste because he freaking dies like halfway through the movie.
Yeah. And
then they just focus on Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch from Avengers for like the whole time.
Oh, they're actually in that? Like both of them?
Yeah, the actors. Like at the end
Taylor Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen.
Uh-huh. At the end fight, Godzilla is, of course, fighting these two other knockoff Zilla things. But they're all shrouded in darkness, and they keep focusing on Aaron Taylor Johnson's face. It's like, I don't need to see his face. I know how to react. I have a brain.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That just really gets under my skin.
Yeah. I don't know. At this point, it's just a property that's been used over and over to the brink of, like, it just makes you wonder who the hell still wants these movies to happen.
Apparently some people do, because they revived it in Japan too. They had Godzilla Resurgence was the English title, but they actually made a Japanese film with, it was like a guy in a costume like they traditionally did it, but it was enhanced with CGI. So I still want to see that.
Yeah, whatever.
That's probably still the best way to go. Just play it up with the cheese. All this serious crap with humans are a disease. It just doesn't seem to fit.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
So what else?
Well, you have the list in front of you, so I'm just going to defer to you anytime we're lost for a topic.
Yeah. As far as Marvel, there really wasn't a lot, because I guess they already had their big movies this year.
Well, so at least in the wake of Infinity War, and I know we haven't had a big discussion on it. Yeah, I feel like at this point it's fine to talk about spoilers, but just
everyone dies. The end.
No, only half of them. So yeah, literally half of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So yeah, I mean, I feel like just the whole reason they are sort of staying away from Comic-Con this year is just to sort of leave that gap that was left after Infinity War. Like, they want to, like, MCU is obviously known for sort of their just veil of secrecy. Especially in the wake of a movie like Infinity War that just left so many questions out in the open. They're going to try to keep everything secret until Avengers 4. I know I said Infinity War 2. But, I mean, we still don't know the title, so I'm expecting that to happen like very end of this year.
It was supposed to be Infinity War Part 2, but they dropped the Part 1 and 2, even though they shouldn't have. Because
I mean, it's going to be Part 2, like
it's Part
realistically. 2. But I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it stand on its own. I'm fine with that.
As far as Marvel announcements, I think all they really had in the ways of TV movies was they showed a little teaser for Iron Fist Season 2.
Yeah, which I don't really care about, but I mean, I guess
it's just him fighting a couple of guys, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, he finally gets the mask and stuff, right? So there's that, I guess.
No.
Okay. I could have sworn I saw an Instagram post, like, with someone trying on a mask from the set.
Maybe, but it wasn't in the trailer.
Well, that's disappointing. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't really care.
Honestly, at this point, Marvel Television just does absolutely nothing for me, so I don't know. I couldn't care less when it comes down to it.
They have a lot of weird things. Like, so we still have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. roaming around somewhere. Mm-hmm. Cloak and Dagger on some weird network.
It's Channel 49 by me.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Runaways, I think they still have Legion, and there's
Legion's
something
good.
else.
Legion's actually really good, and I'm still like 2 episodes behind from the second season, so at least what I've seen of it, it's just been really cool visually, thematically. Without getting too deep into it, it's just a mind fuck, and everyone should watch this show, you know? It's
I gotta check that out.
Literally the best Marvel show on right now, but not exactly a high bar, but they meet that bar at least. Yeah, what else?
There's a little bit of controversy kind of related to Marvel over the weekend.
James Gunn thing?
Yeah, he had a little Twitter mishap there.
Yeah. Well,
I will not.
Yeah. No,
usually when something's come out like this, where it's like one tweet was plucked from something that somebody said years ago, and you're like, oh, come on, it was just the one thing. But this guy,
there were a bunch of them. I saw a few of them. And
I don't know what he was thinking.
Excessive. Well, at least from what I gathered of it, it was all done in satire. It was all done as a joke, but it was really outrage for outrage's sake. And there was just a point in his career where he apparently tried to get fame by tweeting out random shit. Like, he tried to get fame by being as outrageous as possible, which I mean, there's definitely some
let's just say the subject
that,
matter is very questionable.
Yeah,
to say the least.
Questionable to the point that if we discussed it on here, YouTube would probably either pull the video or demonetize it if we actually monetize these. But
yeah, but really what I don't get the most is why he wouldn't have deleted that as soon as he got hired to a major studio. Because, and I've read this before, Disney is supposed to do a background check on people's social media before it actually, finishes the hiring process. Mm-hmm. So somebody didn't do their due diligence.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, did he definitely not delete them? Like, I don't know. There's a million questions I have, but my biggest question is who's going to direct Volume 3? That's really what it comes down to. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that James Gunn's going to bounce back from this. Just maybe not with Marvel.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if he's really gone for good, my vote's for Taika Waititi. I posted something on Facebook about that last week. Yeah, I mean, what else can you say? Like, who else would be able to capture the sort of voice that James Gunn laid out in the first 2 Guardians movies?
Yeah, that would be my first pick because, he's already dealt with Marvel. Mm-hmm. And he's already done a movie, which, in my opinion, felt a lot like a Guardians movie.
Yeah, has a great sense of humor. Thor could actually pretty easily be integrated into the Guardians team. Like, you just see the chemistry he has with the team in Infinity War. It's a pretty natural transition. Visually, one of the best Marvel films. Not in terms of special effects, but in terms of actual visuals. You know what I mean? Like, how do you describe it? Cinematography. I do kind of like the oversaturated quality of some of the actual film.
Yeah, I like that too. You mean like the whole scope of it?
Yeah.
How it makes the world that they're stuck on look huge, even compared to the Hulk.
Right. So, I mean, for a director who was sort of known for comedies, it's amazing just to see, like, something of this magnitude. Which, it doesn't, like, that. So, I mean, that's really why I could see him directing Guardians 3. It's sort of the same sense of humor. It's sort of the same... It's the same tone as Thor Ragnarok when it comes down to it. It's you could easily see like him producing a similar product.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to want to go with indie directors, I guess.
Well, I mean, yeah, James Gunn started out as an indie guy. Like all of his prior releases. I mean, prior to this, his most well-known film credit was writing the Scooby-Doo movies. Yeah, which people forget about that. He was like the actual screenwriter for both of those, and then he directed a couple like low budget things right after that. But I mean, Guardians 1 was really his breakout, you know?
Yeah. And now he's broken down.
Yeah. Well,
By
I mean,
himself.
he's going to bounce back from this. I'm sure Sean Gunn's going to be in Guardians 3. So,
Yeah, we'll see.
what else?
Other Disney-owned things. You had Clone Wars. They're making another season.
Yeah, I don't care. I mean, I never watched it, so I just...
I thought they definitively ended it. Like, they did their final season that, make it come full circle to episode 3.
Yeah. I don't know. That's what I
guess
heard.
not.
I never really kept up with it. The prequels as a whole, I just don't really care about. It's not like they have any sort of profound effect on the rest of the series, so whatever. But the Star Wars fans who actually like that stuff, but I don't know. It doesn't affect me in any way.
Well, from what I do understand, it has the better version of Anakin.
Yeah. Better.
He's not whiny, and he's not annoying.
And he doesn't
He's actually a leader.
Okay.
I don't think he encounters sand a whole lot in that show. Maybe he does. I don't know. I haven't really watched it.
Okay.
What else? Star Trek Discovery Season 2. The whole thing is about teasing Spock. Spock, we have to find Spock. It's literally the search for Spock, but in a TV season. And you have Captain Pike from the Enterprise is coming over to be captain.
Yeah.
So
so I mean, the Orville actually got me a little more excited. I didn't watch Star Trek Discovery at all, so again, I really don't have any strong opinions on it one way or another. Orville looks pretty cool. Trailer didn't show too much, but it sort of shows off the same sort of sense of humor we got from the first one, season. Sort of shows off similar plot lines. So Seth MacFarlane's still going strong, unsurprisingly.
Yeah. What got me was the release date. It's not coming out till December.
Yeah, I know. I guess it's going to be... Well, I guess the first season was only like 12 episodes, right? So
yeah,
more
I
of the
think
same.
so, 12 or 13.
Which
I guess is okay. They don't want to drag it out too much, but it is a show where it's plots contained within an episode, so they could realistically do, if they had the budget, as many as they wanted.
Yeah. Well, I think it works for them. I'm fine with it. We're not getting too much. They always leave us wanting more. That's like the number one rule in show business. So, they know what they're doing.
I guess it is Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, other Seth MacFarlane projects, Cosmos Season 2 for the people. Yes, they are.
Oh, nice.
And that's coming out next year as well.
Cool.
It looks pretty good. I think it's all going to be about possible life on other worlds or something like that. And you've Neil deGrasse Tyson back, and he's in that weird,
CGI pod
elliptical
thing.
shaped pod thing. And it looked like they're stepping up the visual elements for this one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when it comes down to it, it's more about just educating people about physics and the universe around them. It's not so much about visuals as it is about the story, Which, that's more or less what Sagan was about when he made the original Cosmos. I don't have, again, I don't have too much to say about it. I didn't even know they were making it until literally you announced it just now, but...
Yeah. Well, I got the whole season of Cosmos, the one they did with Neil deGrasse on Blu-ray, and I don't buy a lot of media on physical formats, so that tells you something.
Yeah, nice.
Pretty unique, so I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, any other major stuff, or can I get to my one sort of fan?
That's all I had.
Okay,
I'm all Comic-Con out.
So I'll just go over my one quick thing real quick. Yeah, I said quick too many times. It sounds weird, but... So I will say, I wish we had Paris on right now, because he's the only other diehard Steven Universe fan I know. I did just mention it. Cartoon Network as a whole has gone down the shitter just within the last decade. Steven Universe is one of the few shows that's actually worth watching on this channel. And I say that both as someone who loves cartoons, like genuinely loves animation, and someone who really grew up in the glory days of Cartoon Network. There's something about Steven Universe that just flows really well. It has this sort of anime style visually. It just preaches this sort of message of love and compassion. It's just a great show for kids, adults, really anyone of any age group. And so Comic-Con, the big release, first of all, was, so like they only release episodes like 5 at a time, and then they'll go on hiatus for like months at a time, and it's just a really weird release schedule. But so like within the last series of episodes, within the last 5 episodes, they sort of teased like the major antagonists who they've been building up to for the last 4 seasons, just coming down and finally fighting Steven, and big showdown that ended up ending pretty epically. Again, I don't want to go too in depth with it, but like what this so they released a new episode. Cartoon Network released a new episode that wasn't even on air, just released online, and like the whole thing centers around this character that was just like completely unknown prior to this season, like completely unexpected. No one knew what this character looked like, just legends, and it was sort of like this level of mystery and intrigue that just had such an epic payoff. I'm rambling a little bit, but I don't know.
So you're saying the point is that for the people that watch this, you got some good stuff coming. Yeah. So you got that to look forward to. If you're looking forward to it, that's pretty redundant. But so is talking about Comic-Con for almost an hour straight. I'm running out of things to say. What about you?
I think we covered everything. Like, I think we got everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a news channel.
Yeah, more or less.
But you know what? It's not news. It's nonsense.
It is. It is, in fact, nonsense. So, without further ado, this has been part 2 of our Comic-Con special. If you did not see the first part or listen to the first part, you can check it out on YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Podomatic, Spotify eventually if we ever get that. What else?
We're spreading out into the universe.
Yes, we are.
Not the Steven one, the nonsensical one.
Yeah. So, without further ado, I'm CJ DeLeo, joined as always alongside John Kaggs. This is Utterly Nonsense 8-Bit Music. Play us out.
Fuck Batman.
And stop recording.